Welcome back to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is the handover of a 2018 Elddis Signature 195. So starting the walk around on the driver's side of the vehicle, you've got your waste water. So this is anything that you've drained off via a plug hole. So sink, kitchen, dishes water, hand basin, shower water. On the way out of your site, pull over your service bay, open it up, and it'll start to drain the water off. Leave it open ajar just because of when the camber of the road will rock, any water that's not drained out will come out, and then you'll make sure that the tank is fully drained. Especially in the winter, you want this open and all the water out, as you don't want the water to freeze inside the tank. Cassette toilet. So the toilet will open with the tri-mark key, which is all the locks on the habitation side, and then make sure the blade's closed, which I'll talk about when inside the vehicle. If it's closed, then the cassette isn't engaged and you'll be able to lift and slide the cassette free of the vehicle. You've got a handle so you can drag it to the waste disposal point on site, and then what you do is remove the cap, press the button and tip it out. Once you've tipped it out, put some water in via the spout, give it a rinse and tip out again, and then fill the cap full of 120 ml of either the green or the blue chemical, pop it into the cassette with a little bit of water, and it's good to go back into the van. And then you just push it in until it clicks. You've got your flue for your boiler. So one's an intake, one's an outtake. So if that drips with condensation, there's nothing to worry about. It's just the heat off the boiler coming out the vehicle. Using one of the round-headed keys. So you've got two round-headed. One will do the door, one will do the water. So this one does the water, ending 6-7. Lockable cap. Go and get yourself a hose pipe, either a collapsible one or a normal hose pipe with some hose pipe fittings, as it's mainly just a brass tap on site. Hose pipe in there until it overflows, which is the best thing to do, or you can see on board how much water you've got on board at any one time. But if you want to make sure you've got a full tank, just let it overflow, it does no harm. And then just pop your cap back on and lock it back up. External shower, so it's a cold water feed shower. So if you're hosing the kids off, the dogs, the boots, the bikes, give this a jiggle and get the fitting out. There's a fitting that goes in there. Make sure the pump's on, and on the other end of the hose you've got a trigger gun, and it will pressurize the water to hose things off, but it is just a cold water feed. You've filled the fresh water, now you want to empty it, as you might have taken on contaminated water, or you drain it down because you're not using it, or you drain it down for the winter. Simply open the tap, and that's just pure fresh water that you've put in via a hose pipe. And then you would leave this open in the winter so no water freezes in there. Using the tri-mark key, you can get into the storage underneath your locker, and obviously your boiler's at the back. I'll talk more about that once on board. And you've got your own and winding handle and rafter bar. On the back of the vehicle you've got your high level brake light and reversing camera. And then as you come round, again using the tri-mark key, this is your Lpg Locker, so liquid petroleum gas. This is where you can fit two 6 kilogram propane bottles on board, but we've got one on as our test bottle at the moment. So what you would do is lift the bottle in. To get the pigtail on, you'll need an adjustable wrench or a gas spanner, and just nip it up. So it's a left hand thread first, hand tight, then nip up, and then always make sure that you use the straps to strap the bottles in once they're on board, and turn them on and off from the top Make sure that they are off before you travel. It's far safer in case you are involved in any collision or anything, that the gas is turned off, because then it's not a hazard to anybody. External gas point, so if you want to power a kayak, awning heater or a barbecue, instead of carrying a spare bottle, you can connect to here via a quick release connector. Turn the tap on. You will need some orange hosing and some Jubilee clips to connect up, and then you can turn it on and off to use the gas from the bottles to your kayak for outdoor cooking. Using your tri-mark key again, you can open your battery locker. So this is where your leisure battery is. Your hookup point, and then underneath your hookup point you've got a 3-pin plug and an external plug. So if you wanted power in the awning, you can connect in there, do the same, put the wire through the groove, and then you can lock the locker. But to hook up, you get your hookup blade, lift the collar, slide it on here. Always hook the vehicle up first, then the power source, and do it in reverse order when unhooking. We've got your awning, which we can show you on collection. Microwave vents, fridge vents. Your door, so you can open it and you can lock it. And then you do have a security handle that if you're leaving the van, don't put it on when traveling, but if you are leaving the van, what you can do is you can open it, turn it over the door, and then lock it if you are leaving it unattended. Using the ignition key, you can fill with diesel fuel, and then because it's a new Euro 6D engine, it's got AdBlue, so this will do 5,000 mile on a full tank, which is 19 litres. At 4,000 mile, you'll get a light between the temperature and fuel gauge, which looks like an exhaust light, which indicates that it now needs AdBlue. Top it up as soon as you can. You can buy it on the pumps, it's far cheaper, or you can buy it in the barrels and carry one on board. Top it up. That light will go out once it has got enough AdBlue, and it might just be a thing you do once a year, depending on the mileage you're going to cover in the motorhome. And all the AdBlue does, it cleans the catalytic converter out at a certain temperature, so no carbon deposit builds up in there and causes your emissions to be dirty. Tyre pressures, so 5.5 bar on the back, which is 79.5, 5 bar on the front, which is 72.3. Engine batteries underneath the floor, so if you ever need to charge it or change your battery, you've just got to lift this panel out, which just requires a screwdriver. Toolkit underneath the passenger seat, which includes a jack in a brace and a tone eye, and then your bonnet releases on the side of the dashboard. So if we have a quick look underneath the bonnet, you've got your various fluids. So you've got your screen wash, this lifts off, and you've got power steering fluid and coolant, brake fluid, engine oil and dipstick, paint code on here. And then if you ever need to jump start, earth off here, put your key behind the headlight in this little tab here and lift this cover up, and then that's your positive terminal there. So if I do it again, that's your positive terminal there for giving or receiving a jump start. And then you do have your weight plate, so 3.5 ton gross vehicle weight, and then your train weight. If you were to put a tow bar on, the vehicle and whatever you're towing can't exceed 5.5 ton, which means you've got a 2 ton towing limit on the motorhome. Once on board the vehicle, you've got your 12 volt control panel. So if you're hooked up, you will get mains 230 volt. If you're not, you'll just get 12 volt off your leisure battery. So starting off at the bottom, you've got your master switch which turns on the vehicle. It's 12 volt system or to 30 volt system if you are hooked up. You've then got on either side, you've got the awning light, which is the light on the outside of the vehicle, and the tank heaters. As it's fitted with the winter pack, the tank, the fresh in the waste tank have probes in them. So if it's going to freeze overnight, turn your tank heaters on, and this will stop the water from freezing in the tanks below when in use. When not in use, drain it off just to be safe. You've got your lights, which is your master switch for your lights, which are all then individually switched around the motorhome. At the top here, you can see the voltage of your leisure battery. Take the hook about to give a true reading, and then if you press this button here, it'll tell you how full your fresh water is on the bottom. Should you have enough fresh water on board, you can turn the pump on and you'll be able to pressurise the water through the taps, toilet and shower. Below you've got your wheel heating and hot water panel. So this is how we heat the vehicle and heat your water in your water container. So your boiler holds 10 litres of water at any one time. So at the top you've got the one that looks like a tap. This is your hot water, so you just go through it. So the snowflake is frost start, which is for approximately 5 degrees. Then you've got 1 kilowatt of electric, 750 watts. 2 kilowatts of electric, which is the 2 wiggly lines, which is 1500 kilowatts. Depending on the amperage the site gives you will determine whether you use 1 or 2 kilowatts. You've got the gas flame on its own, which is gas. If you were wild camping, you would have no other way of heating the water other than using gas. And then you've got gas and the mixture settings. So at the minute it's on mix 2, which is gas and electric on 2 kilowatts. So this is doubling the source. Putting them both together should drastically reduce the time it takes to heat the water. So you'd only do that if you are in desperate need of water, and then you would turn the gas off, don't waste your gas, and allow the electric on 2 kilowatts to continue to heat the water. But that setting should give you hot water in between 5 and 10 minutes. Below you've got your heating, so this is heating the motorhome. So again, off. 1 kilowatt of electric, 750 watts, 2 kilowatts, 1500 watts, and 3 kilowatts depending on the amperage the site gives you. And then you've got gas on its own. If you're wild camping, that this would be the only source you'd have available to heat the motorhome. And then you've got gas and 2 kilowatts, again similar to the water. If you're in desperate need to heat the vehicle in the winter, use both sources together. It'll take about between 5 and 10 minutes to heat your motorhome to temperature, and then turn off the gas and allow the electric to continue to heat the motorhome. Plus and the minus is just the scale of temperature. Up here is 30 degrees, in the middle there somewhere between 15 and 20 degrees. Once you've used the heating and hot water, if you always turn it off before you turn the master switch off, because it can fault the boiler. So all you need to do is just press until it goes to off. Wait until the fans fall silent. You hear the fan, the 12-volt fan in the background whirring there. When it goes silent, you can then turn it off. If you want to turn it off too quick or start the engine too quick, you'll get an exclamation mark, and all you need to do is press whatever's failed with the plus button together and reset. So say if it was the heating, you press the heating button and the plus button on the panel, push and hold until that exclamation mark eliminates. In the kitchen area, so you've got 3 gas hobs. So using the spark igniter on the front of the oven, you can light all 3 gas rings like so. Allow these to cool before you put the glass lid down, and then you do have 1 electric hot plate which brings on the red light, which is this one here. So if you're on a site, you can use their electric because you've paid for it with your site fees instead of wasting your gas. And then below you do have the grill, so just keep it held in until the thermocouple gets warm, and then you can release, and that's the grill lit. And under the grill you do have your oven. You may want to take your oven shelves and grill pan out when travelling, as they can cause a bit of vibration when on the road. Got a bit of storage underneath here, but you do have your gas isolation taps. These are what these red taps are for. So they do your fridge, the bottom one, the hob, the middle one, and the oven, the top one. Any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced. Got 4 storage drawers here. and a small cupboard. Your microwave is an 800 watt mains power microwave, so you just press eco to wake, which it tells you there. And you've got the plug for the microwave, so if it ever becomes an issue you can unplug it, use the plug for something else, or if you ever need to replace it you can replace the microwave. It is just an 800 watt household microwave. Plates, cup rack, these are your winter vents for the outside of the vehicle in the winter, of the fridge vents. As long as the pump's on, you'll get a pressurized flow of water like so. So this is showing that your water pump is working and that your water is getting up to temperature there. To operate your Dometic fridge, which is a 3-way fridge, you've got your source selector on the left hand side, which is this one here. So at the top it is off. If you turn it down, it'll go to mains power and it'll act as a household fridge on 230 volts. So if you're pre-chilling and you're parking it at home and a couple of days before you're charging the battery of the van, so you've hooked it up at home, you may want to put the fridge on to pre-chill down to temperature, and then the night before you might want to put your shopping in, allow that to chill overnight. You can do that on mains power, or if you're on a site, obviously you would use mains power because you've paid your site fees. You'll not want to waste your gas. And then say you have pre-chilled, or you've moved, or you've been on one site and you're ready to move to a next, you can go on to the battery setting, which will keep the fridge at the same temperature it was when departing. So what this will do is, once the engine's started, it'll send a feed of 12 volt to the fridge and it'll act as a cool box. It'll keep all your shopping nice and fresh no matter how long you travel, until you arrive either back on site and you go back to electric where you hooked up, or if you're going wild camping you go to the very bottom one, which is gas. This is your temperature selector, so when pre-chilling, always up at the top. When you put your shopping in, just drop it down a little bit just in case it does freeze the fridge. So what you do is go down to gas, press this in, press the spark igniter, and then you're waiting for that orange band to start moving into the green. Once it's in the green, just let go of the temperature control, and then that is now lit on gas. So that's what you'd use if you're wild camping. And then finally with the fridge, always clean it out after use, and if you're packing it away, obviously clean it out with some antibacterial wipes or sprays, and then you want to leave the door open, because if you don't leave the door open, all that clean air will get trapped inside the fridge and freezer box and start to make the motorhome smell, and mold will start growing in your fridge. That's not what you want. So on the side of the light there's a little tab which you can pop in and slide out like so. The pins will come out and then you can shut the door, and as you can see there, it's not shut fully, but it'll allow an air circulation in and out the fridge to stop mold and bacteria from forming. In your wardrobe you've got a few extra cushions. You do have your freestanding table which you can put at the front, at the back, or outside of the vehicle. And you've got your Vision Plus TV amplifier. So on here, this light is showing green, which means it's found a signal. If it was orange, it's got a weak signal, and if it was red, it doesn't have a signal, so you'd have to adjust the aerial, which I'll show you in a second. But you do have a amplifier on here, so you can go min and max and turn that up and down. So as you can see there, it's going to a orangey red, but then if I amplify it, it starts to go to green again. So you can amplify the signal should you be in a place where you've got a weak signal. If the telly's pixelated and it's on max, it may be because it's interfering too much, so you may just have to turn the amplifier down. And then the best tip is to look where other motorhomes and caravans are pointing on your site. You can loosen the nut off here on the aerial, push it up, and use the black collar to adjust the direction of the aerial. But always make sure before you do set off from site, it's pulled in and the nuts fastened to stop the wind from getting underneath the aerial and causing any damage. In your washroom, you've got your shower and toilet wet room. So when winterizing, we'll always advise that you take this pipe off here and lie it in the shower tray and remove your shower head, just so any water coiled up in here, it's got the chance to run out the waste. The waste would be open anyway, so it'll just run straight through the vehicle and outside, leaving all your mixer taps open in the middle position. Your sink plug just pushes in and out to fill the sink, like so. And then you do have toiletry cabinet, and to operate the toilet, so you can spin it round towards you, press the blue button and make sure the pump's on, and you get your fresh water flush. So always flush first, which lubricates the seal between the toilet and the cassette. And then to open the blade, you need to use this grey lever, so you'd slide that towards you, open it, use the toilet, flush after use, and then if you have bought the twin pack of blue and pink or green and pink, what you can do is, this doesn't take the pink because it's a freshwater fed flush. It's not got a header tank like some other motorhomes and caravans. Get an empty spray bottle, dilute the pink with some water, spray the bowl before you flush, and it'll do the same job. It'll clean the bowl, it'll give a fragrant smell in the washroom, and that's the way you can use it. And then obviously flush, spray if you're going to use it, and then you slide this back away from you, which shuts the blade, and then it will allow you to get it out the vehicle when it's full, and you'll get an indication just underneath the diagram here of the cassette, a red light, which means the cassette is then full. Got a towel rail, a toilet roll holder, a skylight with a blackout blind for on an evening, and you can just push this up one way, keep one down, keep one back, it's like multi-jointed, so you can just adjust it depending on which way the wind is blowing to get ventilation into your washroom. Underneath your bench seat at the back of the vehicle, behind your wardrobe on the driver's side, you do have the location of your winter drain down valve for your boiler. So you'll see that you've got your water pump in here, two other gas isolation taps, like I've said with gas, any problems off at the bottle. You've got a reset button, which is this red button here. So should you get a red exclamation mark and you can't get it off by resetting the panel, which is holding whatever's failed in the plus button together until the exclamation mark eliminates, you can press and hold this for 30 seconds and that should eliminate the fault. But at the very back you do have a orange tap, which is your winter drain down tap. So in the winter it's very important that you drain the motorhome down, because it is just plastic pipework and plastic tanks, and if we get a hard frost, minus temperatures overnight, it can freeze. So you would drain the fresh and the waste off from outside. You'd come into the vehicle with no power on, and you'd turn this from pointing to the across the vehicle to the front of the vehicle, but pointing to the front without the power on, because I've just done it and the pump's come on because I've got the power on. So you don't want the pump to kick in because it's trying to replenish the water that I've just lost. So do it without the pump on, turn this to the front of the vehicle, open the fresh and the waste outside, open all the taps throughout the motorhome in the middle position of the mixer tap. Obviously undo the shower head from the hose and lie that in the shower tray, and that will allow all the water out of the vehicle. So in the colder weather, no water can freeze in the vehicle, because if it did freeze in the vehicle, it's your responsibility and it isn't covered under warranty, because it's the customer's obligation to drain the vehicle down. And then when you come to reuse the vehicle, shut here so it's back across the vehicle, shut all the taps inside, build the shower head back up, shut the fresh and the waste outside, and then go and get your hose pipe and fill the vehicle via the freshwater intake, which is just further down the vehicle on the outside, with water. Come in, put the main control panel on and put the pump on. Once you put the pump on, you can go to the cold side of the tap first and you'll get a pressurized cold water feed. Go to the hot side by slowly moving the mixer tap around. It'll cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises for between 3 to 5 minutes as it's transferring the water from the freshwater tank into here of 10 litres, pushing all the air out until you get a free flow of water from the hot side. This is when you know that your system is then primed. Once you've done one tap, all the other taps take a few seconds to then get the water through. So starting off with the kitchen, then go to the hand basin and the shower, and then this is when you know that your system is then primed as your boiler is full with water. But it's very important in the winter that you drain it down, because if not, it can be a very costly mistake to make to repair the vehicle. On the opposite side, behind the cooker, underneath the bench seat, you do have your power supply unit. So this is your trips on mains power. So should anything trip, try here before you try your main site. And if you're thinking you don't have power, just press the trip tester first, and if it's tripping out like it has there, we have power on board. If it's not tripping out, it means that it's not your end, it's the site end or your house. And then you do have all your fuses on mains, or should I say on 12 volt. So do carry some spare blade fuses with you, because if one does blow, you can just replenish a fuse. So they are just standard blade fuses, not the micro ones, just the standard blade fuses. So you'll need some 10s, 5s, 20s and 15s to go in here, and that'll run all your 12 volt appliances. You've got storage further back, but it does approached by the gas locker, which is this, but you do have some storage, and then obviously your battery lockers at that side as well, that comes in for your hookup. To create the back lounge into a bed, what you need to do is underneath the sideboard at the back, you slide the lats out all the way so far, and then there's two rubber stoppers stopping that there. So what you need to do is lift them over and put this board on the other side of the stoppers. As you can see, they're there, so it will not slide forward and it will not slide back. It's now locked into position so that you can then assemble the bed. So what you'll need to do is use the backrests on either side of the settee. Wedge that in, and then you have a bed across the width of the motorhome. To assemble the front bed, you just slide and lift out and meet in the middle the slide outs, and then use the backrests again to create another double bed at the front of the vehicle. To assemble the two additional travelling seats, which come factory fitted on Elddis, as they have a berth for belts policy, remove the cushions, lift this up, and then you've got two clips under here. So what you need to do is you need to lift this board up slightly, and when you lift it, press these on either side, and what we'll do is we'll fold that down, which will then allow you to bring the seat up. So starting with the back one, which brings up, or should I say the front one, which folds the backrest over. Be very gentle with this one, as you don't want this seat belt at tension. Take a bit extra belt and then you can pull this one up, and then just keep using the two different levers. And then you do have two of these seats, which are two additional belted travelling seats on either side at the front of the motorhome. Now in the cab, which is based on a Peugeot Boxer, you do have your handbrake to the right hand side of the driver's seat, in between the driver's seat and the door. And then on the door itself, you've got your driver and passenger electric windows, followed by your electrical adjustment for your mirrors, which is top and bottom, so you can choose. There's 4 to choose from, obviously 2 on each side, 1 being the blind spot, the big one being your main mirror. To black the driver and passenger doors out on an evening, you've got Remus cab lines, so if you pinch them together and slide them down, that's how you would black out the door cards, or should I say the windows on the driver and passenger doors. And then you do have a headlight adjustment and rear fog lights. The last owner has fitted VB air suspension, so it just gives it a more smoother ride, so it's not as bouncy on the road. The air suspension obviously with air chambers on, so you can drop it down or blow it up, and you've got both sides on the rear, as it's just rear air suspension, so you'll be able to find the most comfortable ride for you by adjusting it. But normally they do sit between 2 and 4 bar. Trip computer on the end of your wiper stalk, which will go through your average and instant consumption, your travelling times, your range and your distance travelled. And then you do have your lights and indicators, and on the steering wheel you've got mute, volume, answer and decline a call. This will scroll through your radio channels, your audio tracks and your contacts. And then at the bottom you've got the bottom stalk, which is cruise and speed, so off in the middle, lift it up for cruise, get to your desired speed and push up, push and hold to speed up and pull down to slow down. You can cancel on the end or cancel with a foot brake and then press resume, and this will go to the last speed set before the engine was knocked off. And then at the bottom you've got the speed limiter, so you can go up slowly, it goes up in 1s, push and hold will go up in 5s. If you're light on the accelerator, it won't go over the speed limiter. If you push right down, it will override it as a safety feature in case you've been cut up or to avoid an accident. 6-speed manual gearbox. If lift the collar into reverse, which will bring on your rear view camera when the engine's on, like so. But this is on all the time as it's a rear view camera, so no matter if you're in first or sixth, the camera's always on, so you can always see down out the back of the vehicle. 2 cup holders with auxiliary and USB input for the head unit. ASR off is anti-slip relief, so if you've got stuck on wet grass or loose chip-ins, you can put ASR off and you can give it some welly with the accelerator so that the ESP doesn't kick in. You've got your hazards, locks the cab doors. You've got to manually lock the habitation door by lifting the chrome catch-up on the door. Heated mirrors, so if they're wet or it's foggy, you can clear the mirrors so you can get good visibility down the sides of your vehicle. USB for charging and 12 volt for charging. Temperature on the outside ring, so if you want it hot or cold, and fan speed on the in on the left hand side. Must be on at least 1 or more for the aircon to work, which is this button here. Then on the right side you've got your distribution, so whether you wanted face, feet, screen, or D-Max, demist setting, and whether you're recirculating air or bringing fresh air in. And then you do have the radio, so it doesn't take a CD. It's FM, AM, DAB. Press 1 to 6 to save your favourite channels, and you can just search by scrolling through them here. Media is obviously the auxiliary inputs, USB or auxiliary. It is Bluetooth enabled, so you can press phone, press connect the phone, press add a phone, and you want to find mic on your device, pair your phones up. It'll then ask you if you want to allow your contacts to be saved. Press allow, and it will sync your phone book into your radio, so whoever rings will come up with a name instead of just a number if they're saved in your contacts. And then finally, to black the carb out, windscreen on an evening, remember carb lines again, pinch, slide them out into the middle. They are just magnetic, so you just need to clip them together like so, and that would black the carb out on an evening.